Hi, bonsoir, Xavier.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good you.
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks so much for joining us. We're really, really delighted. We finally got you to Kendal, not quite in person
Yeah,
because we've been trying for years, but it's thanks so much for
very
joining.
convenient
Yeah,
way.
yeah, exactly. Because I know you've got little children and busy life, but thanks so much for
Yeah,
joining
but
us
I wish I
tonight.
was there actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit
Like
different.
one of those years you realize how special those events are where you can meet everyone and be with everyone. And
Yeah, well, you've got to come
it's,
next year when we've got like 1,000 people in front of us, and everybody's hooping and hollering. So
sure.
how's the last few months been? Haven't you been building a house? I saw something on Instagram where you were building a bit.
Yeah, yeah. In Burby, I was like working hard on my house. It was great actually to be like kind of locked at home a bit, and I was doing that a lot because I just got a baby a year and a half ago. So it's this time of
Congratulations.
life, and yeah, I just finished everything. So now I'm like kind of starting to go out there and paragliding a lot at the moment because the snow is not there, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
it will come.
it will come.
Yeah,
it will come. And yeah, you're an
yeah,
honorary Scot, aren't you, Xavier? Because you married
yeah.
a Scottish woman. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, they're the
good
best.
to see.
It's
So,
actually my second Scottish woman I married.
Oh,
That's true, actually. I don't
well,
know.
yeah. What can we add to that, Lauren? They are the best, eh?
well,
I can't
yeah.
say that. I'm
Yeah,
married to a New Zealander, so it's not quite the same. So the theme we've got for the festival, as you might know, is nurture this year, and I think what's lovely about the content that we're going to show that you've made over the last year or two is really relevant to the festival, where we're about nurturing future generations, nurturing the environment, and I found it really refreshing that you're so willing to share your skills that you've obviously gained over years and years of experience in the mountains in lots of different areas across the world. So just tell me how the how-to series came about. Was it just your idea, or was it a partnership? How did that come about?
No, yeah, it was like between like Bini, my wife, and I, and like we were both. But I don't know. I was personally getting a bit frustrated of doing like movies which were always going on a trip, trying to write some rad lines somewhere and having a rad adventure. It kind of felt a bit redundant for me at least, and I had the feeling to be telling the same stories. And also like my daughter getting older, starting to get a bit gripped on Instagram for the wrong reasons sometimes. I kind of wanted it to kind of share something a bit more meaningful than just egocentric a bit of stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I was like, well, I've learned a lot, why not share something that people can actually learn from, and content which would not just be flicked at, but which would kind of stay there and be relevant even in 5 years. So yeah, the idea was kind of to create a bit of a like light away with a bit of all the subjects. So we're still a bit working on it. Doesn't take too much energy. It's fun to do, and yeah, I'm happy. Yeah.
So we're going to show the first one now. I think it's a really interesting way to start because it's something that we've all dealt with. I'm sure everybody at home, as far as whatever levels of fear you're dealing with, it is a very relevant topic. And we're actually going to look at the film How to Deal with Fear, and we're going to come back to you in a few seconds.
I consider that fear is actually part of my toolkit, and I actually try to cultivate it to be focused on what happens around me and therefore be more prone to spot potential dangers. You must accept and even embrace fear because it is there to help you and to get the best out of your senses. A really important component of that fear is knowing your skills and their limits, and therefore being able to validate if that fear is justified or not. What I usually do at the top of the line is ask myself, have I identified all the potential dangers? And if yes, is there a solution to every single one of them? Think with your head first, and then once you've validated it, trust your gut feeling that tell you if things are good to go or not. So when all the lights are green and I decide that it's all good to go, I would say that this is the scariest moment of all, because that's where you need to commit and that's when the emotions are the strongest. So take a minute to breathe and exhale all the air from your lungs, because this will calm you down and help you to be more into the moment.
See you at the bottom.
The first few turns are always a bit scary, but then if you've done your job right, if you've prepared everything in your head in the correct way, then you would enter this kind of magical bubble where everything happens by itself. I usually call it the video game mode, and this is, I think, to me, a magical moment which is so special to freeriding and which disconnects you from the whole world around you.
Well, that was awesome, Xavier. And I think, you know, learning to manage fear is such a, well, I guess a valuable skill in life. And you were just talking about your daughter growing up, and there's lots of different aspects of fear in our lives. And like, do you think managing or learning to manage fear in the backcountry has that helped you in other aspects of your life?
Yeah, I think very much so. I find that that's something very true, especially in mountaineering, and like when I say mountaineering, freeriding is a part of that. Like, and yeah, you always find yourself in those situations where you don't want to be there. You're always on the edge, and you have to evaluate things and take decisions, and you don't have someone else to take them for you. You're really responsible for yourself, and I think that teaches you so much. And I think that's something so important, especially in today's society where everything has been normed and everything has been taken care of. It's like never your fault. It's always like someone else's fault. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. And actually, I really like the way of, like just getting out there, taking your own responsibilities. And I've loved actually teaching that to my daughter. And yeah, and I think that's something that, like, I really encourage kids to go outdoors, not necessarily free riding, but all sorts of sports and kind of learning these values a bit. Yeah.
I don't know if you broke up there, but yeah, I guess some of the challenges as well. Do you feel the younger generation are really pressured with the things like social media to maybe overlook some of those really sound words of advice that you gave online there?
We've got a nice...
Xavier is frozen, so not a problem. I mean, yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, you know, it just got me thinking when we were looking at those points at the end of the slide there. It's like, you know, there is pressure to go steeper, to go faster, to take bigger jumps, you know, and there's a whole grounding, there's a whole foundation that maybe people are fast tracking now.
Well, that as well, but also, you know, my failures have taught me more than my successes ever have. But I think kind of what I was maybe pressing Xavier around is, obviously when you make those mistakes in the backcountry, it can be lethal, it can be, you know, terminal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really liked what he was saying about sort of radical self-reliance, and I think that's something that we can all take from outdoor sports, and not trying to, like you were saying, kind of skip through those lessons that you learn in the backcountry, all the inputs that you get. You know, come up to Kendal Mountain. I mean, you've got 70-mile-an-hour winds and cold and rain and, you know, cloud. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
And yeah, I just always was really interested to kind of explore that further.
And some of the faces that you're snowboarding on, that you're just not being afraid to turn back is a real lesson there, isn't it? Totally.
And I think, you know, I've definitely made, we've probably made those mistakes in our younger years, for sure. I definitely have.
Yeah.
Where I know I definitely should have turned back or not climbed with that certain person or whatever it is. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Well, I think he might be back.
hi, no problem. You know, these things happen in the way
I'm
it is at
sorry.
the moment. Wi-Fi in
Yeah.
Verbier is probably just as good as Kendal. What we're going to do, we were just saying, actually want to come back to the point of the pressure on the younger generation and maybe how they try and fast track a lot of the foundations that we need to build in the sort of mountain skills, where they just want the best photo, the best video clip of them going into areas that maybe are a little bit beyond their ability. Do you think that pressure is really obvious with the younger generation?
Yeah, you can see it in many ways. Like, in a way, social media will encourage people to kind of push their limits and push the sports. And of course, there are limits to that, and they could learn it the hard way. And for sure, when we have a presence out there, we show cool stuff. We inspire kids to push it and to push their limits a bit. But at the same time, they need to. Well, we need to show actually also the other side of the medal, because there is a big other side to the medal. And especially freeriding, you're not just dealing with getting injured. It's like more serious than that. So,
Sure.
yeah, it has to be taken into consideration that it's part of the deal in a way when you're a freerider, when you're out there, when you're trying to push things, even when you're not even trying to push things so much, like it's a mountain. You're in the mountains, and like you don't control everything. Yeah.
Sure. Well, that leads us perfectly into the next clip, which is obviously to do with to riding the steep lines, the steeps. So let's take a look at this next section, and we'll come back to you after that.
If you wanna go back, if you wanna go back, back. If you wanna go back, if you wanna go back, back.
Riding steeper terrain will make your heart racing and will take your big mountain riding to another level. But with all that fun, all that thrill comes a lot more risk, and you need to adjust your riding accordingly. So today we're gonna see how to ride safe in steep terrain. All right. So in steep riding, any kind of mistake could have a lot more consequences than any kind of normal free riding. So you need to adjust your riding and your margin of safety accordingly. Any turn, any jump, any little action, your speed, everything must be taken, let's say 20% down, or adjusted depending on how much the risk is. Lesson number 2 is to try to fight against your natural instinct and to stand on your feet. Because basically when you lean back into the mountain, you lose all the power on your edge, and you risk of losing that edge, which means sliding down. And that's exactly what you don't want. Coming back to the basic technique, in steep riding, you need to really engage your core, not throwing the arms, not throwing your turns, not taking too much angle. That way you're going to be a lot less likely to lose balance and fall. Bending the legs is more important than ever in steep mountain riding. It will give a much better angle to your ankles, to your feet, to your board. It will give you a lot more stability. It will absorb all the bumps. It will make all the difference to ride safe. So the whole carving technique needs to be a bit put aside in steep mountain riding. You will want to be sliding a lot more, and the only part that you might be carving might be the end of your turns. So first phase will be to be initiating your turn with your shoulders, so launching your shoulders. Second phase will be to taking the weight off your board, almost like if you were to jump but leaving the board on the ground. And then third phase will be to let your board or your skis follow. That's kind of a jump turn technique, and it works really well in steep riding. So if you're getting into a tricky section, some people like to be on their ass, but you need to be careful. If you end up being on a really hard snow or on a rocky slab on your heels, it could be really tricky to move. Usually what I like to do when I get into a tricky situation is get on my toe, come down, you have your hands to hang around things, and you will be a lot safer doing the lift down. terms of board choice, some people will want to go for a wider board, not to have any toe drag, but you need to watch out because the wider your board is, the harder it will be to turn from edge to edge. So I like to kind of keep a compromise. In terms of safety, having an ice axe can make any kind of difficult passage a lot easier. So remember, if you have a problem, put your ice axe in the snow and you're safe. That's a big plus. And then last but not least, helmet is not just made to protect you from falling. It also protects you from rocks falling and ice falling. And this is a big thing in steep riding. It's important to still follow all the standard safety procedures. So always ride one by one, always hide away, always check the conditions, check your gear, know where you're going and be able to hike back up and have the gear for it if needed. Feeling comfortable in the steeps is just a matter of spending time in them. So remember, start slowly, build things up. Remember all these points that we talked about today and have them become part of your routine. And hopefully you're gonna start loving steep riding as much as I do. Be safe and have fun.
Amazing short film there, Xavier. So great advice. I think what comes across to me is how measured and responsible you are. You sort of instill confidence just the way you're imparting your knowledge there, but also on the mountain you look like you really got it sussed. And you know, coming into responsibility, how has that affected your mindset as far as the environment and obviously the huge challenges we're all facing now with the climate crisis?
Well, I actually felt really guilty for many years. Well, I always cared a lot about it because obviously, for me, it's like everything to be spending my life in nature. It's so important to me to feel good, and I just love it. I don't see myself anywhere else. And yeah, I always had problems to kind of take kind of that matter publicly in a way because I always felt guilty of traveling so much and everything. And then last year I met Johan Rockström, 2 years ago, and like he's the director of the Potsdam Institute, and he really changed my mind about the fact that it was not all about being perfect, you know, but it was more about always trying to be better, always trying to improve, because you will never be perfect. And like listening to all his theories made me understand a lot more what was going on and what was like the real information about everything. And yeah, it's like shocking in a way, but there is some hope in other ways. You know, we don't need to just go and live in the woods, and that spoke to me a lot, and that made me want to do more, and it made me kind of want to research a bit more in terms of you know, what's happening with glaciers and stuff, which are like such a very obvious like kind of testimony of what's happening with the global warming. And yeah, it's been a really nice experience, and we released actually a podcast which came out lately, and we have a big film project which has been put on hold a bit for a while, like with this situation. But yeah, it's an important subject, and yeah, I think we should all really take care about it, try to learn more, try to know a bit more what's happening, and try to do these little actions and progress slowly so that we can yeah, just pass on, you know, that great world and great nature that we have.
Definitely, and I think, you know, as Protector Winters UK General Manager, I mean, this is all music to my ears, and it's actually really humbling listening to you say, you know, kind of in your early, well, I'm going to call maybe activist journey, it's kind of, you know, the worry about not being perfect, but actually, you know, focusing on the real systemic issues is really important. And yeah, it's great to see you owning that conversation and getting involved. And I think, you know, links us really good into our third and final short from you, which is how to be an eco rider. So, yeah.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
I think that years go by and I realized that as a free rider, you know, you're not supposed to just enjoy riding, but you also enjoy the mountains, enjoy every part of that power of the nature, and it comes with a duty, and that duty is about respecting the nature. Through my lifestyle as a free rider, through traveling around the globe left, right and center, it's always been a bit of a touchy subject for me to speak about the environment. But through all these trips, I've been witnessing such a change in nature, like glaciers retreating by the year, seasons getting shorter, everything getting warmer, weather getting crazier. And it feels to me right now so obvious that, you know, we love the mountains, and as free riders, you know, we need to take care of it. And even if we all do little steps, if we all start getting into it, it's gonna make a massive difference. So I've been talking to climate expert Joanna Bernstein, and she's been giving me a few tips and facts about climate and about how to become a bit more of a eco-rider, eco-warrior, however you call it. So here in Switzerland, the volume of waste per person per year has tripled since the 70s, and it is now the shocking number of 700 kilos per person. That's pretty scary. In that category, I think we could point the fingers at coffee cups. There are 500 billions of coffee cups that are put in the waste every year. You know, they have this lining on the paper which makes them really hard to recycle. So we always think, oh, it's fine, it's carton, it's paper, but it's actually not the case. And they actually demand 200 liters of water to produce one little coffee cup that you're gonna use for 10 minutes.
Can I have the coffee in there? Yeah? Cool.
So next time you order coffee, try to bring your keep cup, or maybe try to take an extra 5 or 10 minutes to sit down at the bar and have your little espresso with your friends, right? Over 70% of the carbon footprint of a resort comes from transportation to the resort. So it's actually really easy. If you use shared rides or public transportation, you can reduce by 90% your carbon footprint for a normal ski holiday. And when in the resort, you can use the free shuttles, or maybe just get your legs strong. Walk, bike, whatever it is, it's gonna be all good for your next splitboard mission. Nowadays, many ski resorts do a big effort in becoming a green ski resort. So for example, here in Verbier, all the lifts are powered 100% by renewable energy. Check out what your local ski resort is doing, see how much they invest themselves into the environment, and maybe choose that one more than the others. By being responsible about the amount and the quality of the gear that we use, we can make a big difference. Or if you can choose a brand that really chooses its products for its environment and makes all the effort to go in the right direction, do it. A big shout out to the North Face, which came up with this new technology, with this new membrane called Futurelight, which is made out of 100% recycled polyester and which uses a fully ecological treatment. Try to eat local but also seasonal. That makes a big impact on the environment. To give you an idea, every food product that you get into your plate has traveled 5,000 miles on average. Scary. So a really simple thing to do, but still a really important matter, and one that all freeriders probably do already, the reusable water bottle. So many ski resorts are putting up hydration stations. The water in the mountains is the purest, the cleanest, so use it. Don't go and get plastic. We're so lucky to being able to enjoy such a strong and powerful environment. And I think that making all these little steps are not such a big change in our life, but can make a great impact so that the future generation can enjoy the mountains in the same way that we have.
Thanks so much for that, Xavier. And, you know, it's often the small things that make the huge differences, isn't it, really? You're exactly right, on point there with those really sound words of advice.
Yeah, it's the start. It's true, and yeah, these are little things, but yeah, they make a big difference, and they don't take much effort to, but they do have a big impact in the end. And yeah, like it was a good friend of mine. She's an environmental lawyer, and she's really got her head into the whole thing. And she was like, she's always been giving me pointers and everything, and it's always nice to have someone that helps you understand what's good to do and all those little things, because it's just, we don't even think about it. You get your coffee cup and you don't think it's bad. Or you get your water bottles. People are so used to just buy a water bottle, throw it away. But it's so easy not to do it. It's just so easy to refill and to be a tiny bit conscious. It doesn't take much energy. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we're going to let you get back to your lovely family and beautiful house in Verbier. So, yeah, are they asleep now? Yeah, I can tell it's a bit dark behind. Yeah. So, he's hoping that the snow arrives soon. We're looking forward to meeting you in person one day here in
Yes.
Kendal or maybe in Verbier if we get to ride together. But thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Xavier.
Thanks for having me, and good job on making this happen. Great.
Thank you. Thanks
great
so much.
to have the energy and the passion for winter. Yeah.
Thanks. Merci.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.